Hey everyone, I'm here. I know it's been ages, but it is the real Laura B. Laura here on YouTube and on Twitter. And I'm so happy to be back. It's been ages, but justice moves slow sometimes. And we're just now getting some updates. The only other update we've had is that Travelers had to change attorneys, and that was pretty dry and boring and a lot of legalese back and forth. Who cares who represents them? It meant they had to bring up a lawyer up to speed. But yeah, we're up here today with updates on the New York Marine lawsuit versus Amber Heard. That's what we're doing today. And I'm going to dive right in and we'll get to chat in a little bit. But let me do my intro. Hold on.
Hi, I'm Laura, also known as TheReallauraB from Twitter and now here on YouTube. I'm a researcher, new wave internet media, and commentator. I'm not a lawyer nor offering any legal advice. Join me on a journey to review the world of celebrity lawsuits and current events. Let's get started.
Okay, well, I got that housekeeping done. So I'm glad to see so many here. I'm so excited. It's been a while. I'll do a little recap, but just to explain my absence, I did a lot of soul searching, and I'm not a lawyer. For me to be able to bring these court documents for Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard and ongoing is because I spent so many years researching it and pulling documents. And it was quite a lot of time and a lot of money. And I just can't see myself doing that for another case. It's hard for me to just jump in like Emily D. Baker or any of the other law tubers that can just start presenting a case as it's being live streamed because they know the law. I would just be fumbling through it and say, gee, I wonder why they're doing that. Gee, I wonder why the judge ruled that. So it doesn't make sense for me. So I'm going to stick this through. I used to try to do a roundup of some Johnny Depp news, and I just kept getting hit with copyright stuff. You know, they're on top of us here all the time, and it was just one after the other, going even some like 6-8 month old videos I was getting hit copyrights on. So I just decided it's not worth it if I'm going to risk losing my channel. And I really wanted to see this to the end. So we've got a lot of people here, and I'm so excited to see lots of familiar names. God, I've missed y'all. So let's give a quick recap for any of the newbies that pop on. First of all, years ago, while this was still in litigation, the Depp v. Heard, just to start off, Amber was sued. About several months into her lawsuit, I guess she realized that her homeowner's insurance and her business insurance would cover a defamation claim against her. So she submitted a claim. She filed, and New York Marine said, yep, we accept your claim. We will provide you a legal defense, but we will do so with the lawyer of our choosing. So they looked at her current lawyers and said, oh, look, you've got Cameron McAvoy. They're from Virginia. You need a Virginia lawyer. You've hired them already. They look like they're doing a great job. Their website looks like they're all great lawyers. So you know what? We're going to pay for Cameron McAvoy. That's our appointed attorney for you, who you'd already hired. And we're going to, we want them to be lead attorney. And New York Marine was the ones who carried her business insurance. Amber Heard also had a house back there. She had homeowner's insurance. She goes through her policy and goes, oh, look, they also cover me for defamation. So she put a claim into them. So that they said, oh, yeah, we're going to cover you. And the letter says at our own appointed attorney. But for some reason, I guess in talking with Amber, they said, okay, what attorney would you like? And she came back and said, I want Roberta Kaplan. Oh, well, okay, we'll pay for Roberta Kaplan, but she's not a Virginia lawyer. So you're going to still have to have a Virginia representation. And you've got Cameron McAvoy. Well, I'm not sure who decided they didn't like them, because when Robbie Kaplan came on, so did Ben Rottenborn, who is a Virginia attorney. So now she's got two Virginia attorneys and Kaplan, and and the two of them are having to pay for their attorneys. New York Marine said, look, we're only paying for one attorney that we hired. We're paying for them. And Virginia and Travelers is like, well, we have these attorneys and we think we should all work together and share the cost. And New York Marine is like, look, we have a perfectly good attorney here. I don't know why you feel like you need these highfalutin New York attorney's office, Kaplan's, and why you had to hire another Virginia attorney. We're doing fine here. But that's what happened. As time went on, New York Marine is claiming that Travelers in cahoots with Amber, in cahoots with their other attorneys, I guess it had been Kaplan at the time, or even Braderhoft, who came in, they decided not to work with Cameron McAvoy. They decided to push them away. Now, Travelers claims they didn't do any work anyway. They were just riding on their coattails. New York Marine said, oh, no. They're supposed to be lead attorney. Well, did you think Robbie Kaplan was going to accept that? So eventually, Cameron McAvoy just threw their hands up and says, look, nobody's talking to us. Nobody's including us in planning sessions. Nobody's giving us filings. If Amber Heard were to, at some point, sue her attorneys for not doing a great job, we don't want to be part of this suit because they've elbowed us out. So you know what? We're done. We give up. So at that point, New York Marine said, well, look, you don't want to use our attorney, then fine, but we're not obligated to pay you a defense then. And Travelers said, whoa up. You still have to give a legal defense. You still have to pay for half of our attorneys now. Well, New York Marine considered that until during discovery and depositions or something, they got emails or something where they found out like, oh, wait a minute, Travelers and Amber's attorneys were intentionally ignoring Cameron McAvoy. And if Amber Heard doesn't want to use our attorney, then we're not going to pay anything. And in fact, Travelers had hired and paid for, or Amber Heard had hired and Travelers paid for a private attorney that was never listed on any documents to help her deal with Cameron McAvoy issue. So that's where that comes in, the Travelers. And that's important because I think whatever decision New York Marine makes in the Amber Heard case, Travelers could maybe reference it or hold it against them. So that's where that's at. And I know, here we go. I want to take, thank you to Sam Panther. This isn't a lot, but hope it helps go. I gotta remember how to show it. There we go. This isn't a lot, but I hope it helps towards your hard work and dedication. It is so appreciated. I really do appreciate all of it. You know, the stuff can get so expensive. I did buy one of the documents today, very cheap. I was finally able to get into the PACER system somehow. Not as equal to a lawyer. I'm still a step below, but it helped a lot. So I did get that. So hello to everybody from Scotland. I love it. I love it. I don't see any negativity in here, do I? We doing good so far? I love it seeing you all talking again. They stuck their hands in that telejar with Amber. Defamation's hard to win. They were counting the monies from Johnny, but I agree. I think from all the emails we saw, New York Marine and Travelers both thought it was a slim to none chance that Johnny could win. They were going to go for anti-slap, which means in the end, if Johnny had lost, he would have had to reimburse them for all their legal costs, or a lot of them. And we know that was in the plan because we saw a hearing date set for August on that, on legal costs. Yes, good point. And did I miss any other questions? So glad to be back, and I'm not sure why I've got a scratchy throat, except maybe I'm not used to talking so much lately. All right. I don't see any more questions. No charges of perjury in civil suits. The Aussies should give her perjury, yeah, and witness tampering. I don't know what's going on in Australia. I think they look like egg on their face if they bring us lawsuit, and I think it costs a lot of money. So I think they're hoping, I mean, the taxpayers, so I think they're hoping it's going on. Why is this still going on? The insurance company has covered all the bases. When does this insanity finally end? Sick to death of it. I get it. But here's the problem. You've got two insurance companies. And as much as Amber Travelers agreed to settle this with Johnny as far as the payment of the judgment, that hasn't put New York Marine off the case because they're off the hook because Travelers is still suing them for 50% of the costs. So they are walking a tightrope right now with Amber holding her responsible for why she refused to work with Cameron McAvoy, which would release New York Marine of any legal costs. But Travelers is still one. So that's what's happening now is we've got these two lawsuits that have been intertwined. The judge has joined them for pre-trial discovery, but not for the actual trial. So we'll see what happens. I don't expect these to get to trial now that the way Amber's filed now. Yeah, they expect, again, same thing. They expected to win. They expected to win. Hi, Beatrix. Nice of you to be here. I've seen all these faces. Hi, hello, everyone. Great. Australian investigation is still ongoing, and it was a week or so ago when they confirmed it directly to me via email. They won't discuss it further. Correct. It's not closed. I just don't feel like they're doing anything on it. Apparently, travelers got into more gymnastics. Yes, hired a New York Marine attorney who was working on Amber Heard's case, and New York Marine found out, and DUI had it. I had it. I didn't do a video on it because, again, I think it was so dry. I'm glad he did it as a lawyer. He could cover the legal side of it all. But yeah, apparently a lawyer somewhere in the franchise who has represented New York Marine got hired by by travelers, and he may have been able to have access to attorney work product from New York Marine, and the judge agreed and booted him. They're out. All right, so let's get into the first document. Basically, this is just her giving notice like, hey, judge, notice is hereby given that on July 13th, 2023 at 8:30 a.m., there's going to be a hearing in California. California defendant and counterclaim Amber Heard will and hereby does move this court for an order for judgment on the pleadings pursuant to Federal Rule of Civil Procedure. This motion is made on the grounds that the court lacks subject matter jurisdiction under Article 3 of the Constitution and statutory authority to grant relief under the Declaratory Judgment Act because there is no longer an actual controversy between the parties. This motion is based on this notice, the memorandum of points and authorities in support, the declaration of KAYLA Robinson. Those are the documents I have, the complete files and records in this action, such evidence as may be presented at the hearing on this motion, and other matters upon which this court may take judicial notice. I really hope we get a transcript from this. But let's understand what's happening. This is a very special case. It's being brought to the Central District of California. It's being brought by two parties that are not in the same jurisdiction. And because of that, it goes to this special court. Otherwise, it might be in a lower court in California. But New York Marine is not from California. They're bringing this lawsuit against Amber Heard, who at the time was a resident of California. So that's where the jurisdiction comes in. This special court that hears people from different jurisdictions is hearing this case. And that was part of the subject matter of jurisdiction from her first claim, saying, hey, I'm a resident of California. In fact, I don't even live in the U.S. anymore, so nobody has jurisdiction over me. Well, she lost that argument. And part of subject matter jurisdiction is there has to be an actual controversy. She's saying now that she's basically given up, so there is no controversy. But let's look at what she's actually saying. I have to watch this because StreamYard has changed some of the things. Here's the memorandum of points and authorities in support of her motion. And this does come with a little history of the case from the New York Marine side. So I thought that might help. You want another mod? Yes. I don't know how to do that on the fly. Have we come into any problems yet, guys? Yeah, it's not like the Daryl Burks part, but yeah, basically they're saying there's a rule here that you didn't meet. There's a threshold that means this court can't hear this case. Okay, everything okay? All right, so we'll go on with this one. So here's our memorandum of points. There's our table of contents. It's not too many pages, guys. There's all the law they're citing. And then we're going to get into it. And this is going to have an introduction. So this is going to help any of you newbies that are coming in for, this is the introduction for the New York Marine versus Amber Heard. And I think that would help. This is a declaratory relief action. What that means is the litigants, in this case, New York Marine, has gone to the judge saying, look, can you just head this off at the pass? Can you make a judgment for us so we don't have to go to trial? Just tell us if we're obligated to do this or not. Now, even if the judge rules against them, they still have the right to go to court, and that's why they've asked for a jury. But basically, they're saying, hey, judge, can you just rule for us and we can just all walk away? Of course, if it's same thing in Travelers. It's also a declaratory relief action. Hey, Travelers is saying, can you just tell New York Marine they got to pay us a half? New York Marine countersues and says, hey, can you just tell Travelers to piss off? We don't owe them any money. And however way the judge rules, the other party could still take action because we have that right in America for a trial. That's why they've also reserved the right for a jury trial. Back to this. This is a declaratory relief action brought by plaintiff, New York Marine and General Insurance Company against its insured defendant, Amber Heard. New York Marine filed this action pursuant to the Declaratory Judgment Act, seeking a declaration that it did not owe any defense or indemnity obligations to Ms. Heard under its policy for the lawsuit filed against her by John C. Depp in March 2019. Indemnity obligations, can I highlight? Yeah. What that means is even if she broke the law, we're going to cover her anyway. We're going to indemnify her. They are not going to indemnify her. And therefore, because the judgment was found that she was committed an intentional tort, she intentionally lied to defame him, we don't have to pay the judgment. They did not owe a defense or indemnity obligation to Ms. Heard under its policy for the lawsuit filed again by Depp. The Depp lawsuit was resolved by a confidential settlement in December 2022. Again, the confidential settlement was of the payment of the money of the judgment only. As has been said multiple times, including just recently by Camille, let me be very clear, the judgment stands forever and a life. She was found to have lied by 7 unanimous jurors. That's never going to change. He was awarded $15 million, which was, $10 million plus $5 million punitive, which was reduced. She was awarded $2 million. They both appealed it. They agreed to withdraw their appeals if Amber Heard would pay a reduced amount of the judgment, which was $1 million paid by her insurance company. So, in December, there is thus no longer any action to defend. Ms. Heard subsequently filed a counterclaim, here alleging breach of contract and breach of covenant of good faith and fair dealing. On March 17th of this year, this court granted New York Marine's motion to dismiss Ms. Heard's counterclaim. Boom! Out of here. You have no claim. He did allow a window for her to amend it, and that window is pretty much limited to say, hey, this breach of covenant of good faith, you have this website, and if you can prove that you purchased this insurance based on the information on the website, you can amend your claim. Well, of course, she couldn't possibly do that. In fact, I think New York Marine came back and said, look, we were acquired by another company after she bought our insurance. So this website didn't even pertain back then, which was interesting, but she did not amend her claim. So they dismissed her counterclaim, resolving the parties' dispute as to New York Marine's defense obligations under the policy. Well, it resolved what? That she could, gee, New York Marine, you sued me, I countersue you. Well, now my countersuit's gone, so now you can't sue me anymore. I don't think New York Marine wants to see it that way at all. Since then, Ms. Heard has represented to New York Marine that she will not exercise her right per the court's dismissal order to amend her counterclaim to revive her bad faith claim and withdraw her claim for indemnity against New York Marine. Her bad faith claim was, again, I bought this insurance based on your advertising. Thus, there's nothing left to dispute between Ms. Heard and New York Marine to resolve, meaning there is no longer an actual controversy between the parties. Well, her suit was dismissed, but New York Marine filed a lawsuit long before she counterclaimed, and they have a few issues still. Meaning there is no longer an actual controversy between the parties. A jurisdictional requirement, this is the jurisdictional requirement, that they have to have an actual controversy, and a statutory requirement for relief under the Declaratory Judgment Act. Yet for some reason, New York Marine refuses to stipulate to dismissal of its claims. Those claims indisputably are no longer an issue. The first cause of action for New York Marine, they wanted declaratory relief as to plaintiff's duty to indemnify Heard for the judgment order under the policy. The Depp lawsuit was resolved by settlement in December. And I think it's important when it says confidential settlement, because this wasn't just paying money. They've agreed to something. They've agreed probably to some kind of, well, it says some kind of like no talking about things. They've agreed to something besides just paying the money. That's why it's confidential. Resolved by settlement in December. Ms. Heard is not pursuing an indemnity claim and has so stated, and the debt settlement has been paid by another insurer. So it has been paid. Second cause of action, declaratory relief to the plaintiff's duty to indemnify Heard for any judgment in the underlying action. Same as above. Ms. Heard is not pursuing an indemnity claim and has so stated, and that debt settlement has been paid by another insurer. So basically, they're saying you don't have to pay toward the judgment. Travelers did. I guess Travelers is okay with paying the $1 million, and they're not going to come after New York Marine for the money. So there's no issue there. Third cause of action, declaratory relief as to the plaintiff's duty to defend Heard in the underlying action, the policy. The debt lawsuit is over, so there's nothing left for New York Marine to defend and no claim that is ongoing. Excuse me. Agree to defend in the underlying action. Travelers has something to say about that because they still want 50% of the cost that they paid. So there is something going on. And it's going to be interesting what Travelers' answer was, why New York Marine may not be wanting to drop this. Fourth cause of action, declaratory relief as to plaintiff's duty to defend, there it is, and indemnify Heard in the underlying action, the policy condition. Same as above, the lawsuit's over, so there's nothing left for New York Marine to defend and no claim that is ongoing defense duty. Yeah, Travelers is still ongoing. Travelers still wants their 50%. So these two items, I mean, if assuming Travelers is okay with paying the $1 million and not going after New York Marine for their half, there's still a controversy going on. And why is Amber Heard still tied into that from Travelers? Let me show you. Let's see if I can find it very quickly. Let me share this. So when New York Marine countersued Travelers' answer repeatedly was, Travelers further alleges that the assumption by ProSite, who is also New York Marine, that Travelers is obligated to control the insured, Amber Heard, and its independent counsel, Bredehoff, Kaplan, Rottenborn, etc., able to control the insured and her independent counsel's communication with New York Marine are unsupported and wrong. It was and is up to ProSite or New York Marine, not Travelers, to interact with Amber Heard and her counsel to get information from them and not to rely on Travelers to do its job. And this is repeated over and over. It is not Travelers' job to interact with the insured on behalf of New York Marine. It is not Travelers' obligation to interact with Amber Heard on your behalf. This happens over and over again. So, do you think New York Marine is going to be letting Amber Heard off the hook when Travelers' answer to their counterclaim is specifically, go talk to your client. If you don't want to pay 50%, then you owe us. Stop blaming us. Go blame Amber Heard. So I think she's still on the hook. Anyway, accordingly, there is no good faith or rational basis for New York Marine to continue to prosecute its now moot claims. Therefore, the court should dismiss New York Marine's complaint for lack of jurisdiction and enter final judgment in this action. Now, on the face of this, doesn't it make sense? Without knowing, if you didn't know about what was going on with Traveler, this might just be an obvious, let's just dump and run. How we doing over here? Any questions? Yeah, I'd like to know how she bought a house for $2 million. And I also heard, or euros, and I also heard that she fully renovated in another article. But these are all coming from Spanish articles. I don't know where she's getting the money from. At first, I thought she was just renting it, but they insisted that she renovated every room in the house. Yes, I don't know about the book. We'll get back to the book. That might be interesting. I wonder why I didn't show your... Oh, people are jumping up on me. That's why. Any questions I missed so far? I'm going to keep going. The statement of facts. We good? Here we go. New York Marine issued an insurance policy. So that, again, this is a recap. They issued an insurance policy on March 1st, 2019. Mr. Depp filed the action in Fairfax on or about that's when he filed. So they had July 2018 is when she purchased the insurance, and on March 1st, which was before it expired, is when she filed for her claim, or when he filed for the lawsuit. And then on or around September 4th, she filed her claim. See, so it was several months before she filed for the insurance coverage. That's why people think she bought the insurance like fraud, like she bought it to cover herself in case of defamation. I don't think she knew she had it, or I'm not sure why she would have waited from March until September to file claims, but she did. On July 11th, 2022, New York Marine filed its operative first amended complaint on this action, alleging 4 causes of action and seeking a declaration that it did not owe defense or indemnity obligations to Ms. Heard for the Depp lawsuit. New York Marine alleged an actual and present controversy between the parties, and that therefore this court has the authority to grant declaratory judgment under the Declaratory Judgment Act. The Depp lawsuit was resolved by confidential settlement in December 2022. New York Marine did not contribute. New York Marine knew of the settlement by December 21, 2022, and Ms. Heard amended her first amended and supplemental answer and first amended counterclaim to account for the settlement on January 13, 2023. And there'll be a declaration. Ms. Heard's first amended and supplemental answer and first amended counterclaim alleged 2 causes of action for breach of contract and breach of the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. Ms. Heard alleged that New York Marine refused to provide the independent counsel to which Ms. Heard was entitled, and wrongfully asserted that Ms. Heard was not entitled to indemnity for any amount she was legally obligated to pay in any judgment or settlement. On February 10th, New York Marine moved to dismiss Ms. Heard's first amended counterclaim. This court issued an order granting New York Marine's motion to dismiss, concluding that New York Marine did not have a duty to provide Ms. Heard with independent counsel, and therefore dismissing with prejudice Ms. Heard's first cause of action for breach of contract. With prejudice means she can never file that again. It's moot, it's done, it's over. They did not owe her independent counsel, and that is going to play over to the Travelers lawsuit because they tried the same thing and the judge went against them. Ms. Heard's first cause of action, breach of contract. In its dismissal order, the court also granted New York Marine's request for dismissal of Ms. Heard's second cause of action for breach of the covenant of good faith and fair dealing with leave to amend. However, Ms. Heard represented to New York Marine, including during the parties' meet and confer on May 11th, that she will not further amend her counterclaim. Thus, pursuant to the dismissal order, Ms. Heard's counterclaims are dismissed. Done. Finito. She has no claim against New York Marine. As to New York Marine's claims, the Depp lawsuit was resolved by a settlement ending any controversy regarding New York Marine's duty to defend on an ongoing basis, meaning the appeal is done. They don't have to pay for the appeal. During the parties' meet and confer on May 11th, Ms. Heard also represented to New York Marine that Ms. Heard will not pursue her claims for indemnity for the settlement of the Depp lawsuit. So that would be the judgment, the $1 million that Travelers agreed to pay. She's saying she's not going to pursue them to pay part of that. Let's see if Travelers does. I haven't seen any updates. Ms. Heard affirmatively and expressly withdrew her claim for indemnity in writing on May 16, 2023. Finally, although New York Marine's complaint does not address its prior to defend, Ms. Heard also represented to New York Marine on May 18th that she seeks reimbursement of defense costs only for her independent counsel in the Depp lawsuit. Because the court held in its dismissal order that New York Marine did not have an obligation to provide independent counsel to Ms. Heard, there is likewise no dispute between the parties as to New York Marine's prior defense obligations. So let's look at this in a nutshell. Ms. Heard had represented that she sought reimbursement defense for her independent counsel. That'd be for Braderhoff and Rottenborn and Kaplan. And that's what Travelers is trying to get. They want 50%. They want them to pay 50%. Travelers paid 100%. they want to be reimbursed 50%. Amber Heard is going on record saying, look, I'm not asking you to reimburse those defense costs. She was asking for, was it hundreds of thousands in out-of-pocket or tens out-of-pocket costs that she also got denied. Anyway, Travelers is asking for that. Thus, since New York Marine filed its operative first amended complaint ensuing events, the settlement of the DEP lawsuit, the dismissal order, and Ms. Heard's withdrawal of her claim for indemnity have rendered New York Marine's claims moot. Despite this, New York Marine has refused to agree to dismiss this action or its claims against Ms. Heard. Accordingly, Ms. Heard now moves for dismissal. I'm anxious to see New York Marine's response to this. And I'm anxious to see what Travelers is going to do about this at the update meeting. And we'll talk about that. Legal standard. After the pleadings are closed, a party may move for judgment on the pleadings. Lack of subject matter jurisdiction is proper grounds for motion to dismiss. There is no actual controversy here. Therefore, subject matter jurisdiction should not be in this court. Proper grounds for motion to dismiss. Indeed, the court must dismiss the action if at any time the court determines there is subject matter jurisdiction. Federal courts have no authority to give opinions on moot questions. Jurisdiction under Article 3 of the Constitution is limited to cases and controversies, U.S. Constitution, etc. An actual controversy must be extant at all stages of the review, not merely at the time the complaint is filed. Otherwise, the court would be issuing a declaratory judgment for a dispute that may or may not arise. An advisory opinion provided under this article, of course, may not issue opinions. So the deadline for making the rule motion to dismiss for lack of subject matter jurisdiction is prolonged by this other rule, which provides that if anything changes during the time, then the court can dismiss the action. Because Ms. Heard has already filed her response of pleading, this motion is filed pursuant to Rule 12C by the basis for dismissal of New York Marine's complaint is the same. How are we doing here? Thus, if a case has lost its character as a present live controversy, it is moot and must be dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. The court should evaluate a motion to dismiss a declaratory relief action under the circumstances existing at the time the issue is raised, rather than at the time the action was filed. In reviewing a factual jurisdictional challenge disputing the truth of the alleged jurisdictional facts, like Ms. Heard asserts here, the court may review evidence beyond the complaint without contributing the motion to dismiss into a motion for summary judgment. On a motion to dismiss the lack of subject matter jurisdiction, under the rule, proof of jurisdictional facts may be supplied by affidavit, declaration, or any evidence properly before the court, thereby a declaration. The case no longer meets the Article 3 case of controversy requirements. When this action was filed, the parties disputed whether New York Marine was obligated to provide a defense and indemnity to Ms. Heard in the ongoing DEP lawsuit. New York Marine, however, no longer has a legal cognizable interest in the relief it seeks. The case is moot when the issues presented are no longer live or the parties lack a legally cognizable interest in the outcome. I don't know. I think as long as that Travelers Insurance lawsuit against them for the same issue is live, the controversy is live. Indeed, to ensuing events, the declaratory relief sought by New York Marine would be purely advisory. In deciding mootness issues, the question is whether there can be any effective relief. First, New York Marine seeks a declaration that it has no ongoing duty to defend Ms. Heard in the DEP lawsuit, but the settlement of the DEP lawsuit 5 months ago ended any controversy related to New York Marine's ongoing duty to defend Ms. Heard. I love this settlement of the lawsuit they keep throwing out, which is just fodder because we know it's the settlement of the judgment. They withdrew their appeal. The lawsuit had already come to a conclusion. There was a judgment issued. It was recorded, which is part of New York Marine's argument that we don't have to pay a judgment because you were found liable. The DEP lawsuit did finish. It was the appeals that were settled as far as paying the judgment. I hate they're throwing this in there. Anyway. But the settlement of the DEP lawsuit 5 months ago ended any controversy related to New York Marine's ongoing duty to defend misheard again in the declaration. Moreover, even if New York Marine were to seek leave to amend its complaint to address its prior duty to defend, something it should not be permitted to do, given that the amendment deadline has long since passed. The court's dismissal order has already resolved the basis for the dispute between the parties, whether New York Marine had a duty to provide independent counsel to Ms. Heard. There is no additional relief the court can grant to New York Marine that would affect New York Marine's legally cognizable interests as to its duty to defend, which is going to be interesting again because the judge did join these two lawsuits together for pre-trial for all of these motions. They're joined. Second, New York Marine seeks a declaration that it has no duty to indemnify Ms. Heard for any liability in the DEP lawsuit, but Ms. Heard has affirmatively and expressly withdrawn her request for indemnity. Ms. Heard's original request for indemnity at the time she tendered the DEP lawsuit in September 2019 simply is no longer at issue. Absent that request, New York Marine does not have any obligation to provide indemnity for the settlement in the lawsuit. Absent liability, no live case or controversy remains. In fact, federal courts routinely dismiss any insurer's declaratory relief action as moot once the insured has withdrawn its claim, even if the insured has not released its claims and may hypothetically reassert its claims against the insurer in the future. For example, in this case, the insured withdrew its claim without prejudice to its right to retender the claim in the future, but refused to execute a release, relieving the insurer of any obligation to defend or indemnify the underlying claim. The district court rejected the insurer's argument that there was still a case or controversy because there is no certainty that the insured will ever resubmit its claim. The court found the case was both unripe and moot and dismissed it without prejudice, allowing that if the insured reasserted its claim under the policy, the insurer could refile the action. The same is true here as in that case and should be dismissed. Likewise, in this other case, the insured withdrew his claim for policy benefits without prejudice to the right to assert a claim at some later time. The court dismissed the insurer's declaratory relief action for lack of jurisdiction, finding the case to be moot. In this other case, the insured also withdrew its tender of the underlying lawsuit after it settled but did not formally release any claim under the policy. Nevertheless, the court dismissed the action for lack of jurisdiction because there was no longer a case or controversy giving the court jurisdiction under the Declaratory Judgment Act. Significantly, both of these cases specifically address the voluntary cessation doctrine in the specific context of a withdrawn claim for insurance coverage. Generally, the heavy burden of persuading the court that the challenged conduct cannot reasonably be expected to start up again lies within the party asserting mootness. Both of these cases, however, recognize the following distinction. The court distinguished the case from those in which the defendants voluntarily ceased activities that they could later resume on the basis that the activity at issue in Ormiston was legal, whereas the activities that defendants voluntarily ceased in the other cases were wrongs or illegal conduct. Comments on the case. So following those cases, the bottom line is that the insured, Amber, is not pursuing insurance coverage now. Acknowledge that because the insured had not released its claims, it could hypothetically retender a claim in the future. Amber Heard could, she's saying, hypothetically retender a claim in the future for coverage for the settlement in the underlying action and refile the lawsuit in a more favorable forum as the insurer feared. Nevertheless, as things stand, the issue of whether the policy entitles Amber Heard to any insurance benefits for the settlement is an abstract legal question and presents no actual controversy over which this court has jurisdiction. And it could be that travelers may want to be filing for New York Marine to pay 50% of the money they agreed to settle. I'm falling behind, guys. Sorry. Let me show this. I think I missed another one. Astrid Visitors. I just want to say thank you for all you do, Laura. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I wish I could do more. There's just hasn't been more, right? There hasn't been more. So I really appreciate it. And I will try to get to all your questions. We're right at the end of this, and then we'll pop in for more questions. Again, in these cases, Ms. Hurd has voluntarily withdrawn her claim for indemnity for the settlement in the Depp lawsuit. That's the $1 million. Although a request for indemnity has legal consequence, it certainly does not constitute wrongful or illegal conduct. Therefore, the heavy burden that a defendant generally must meet is inapplicable here. Indeed, Ms. Hurd's withdrawal does not allow her to avoid legal process altogether. If Ms. Hurd and New York Marine have opposing views on coverage under the policy, at some point in the future, it will ultimately be resolved through the legal process. There is now only an abstract legal question, not an actual controversy over which this court has jurisdiction. This course no longer meets the actual controversy requirement under the Declaratory Judgment Act. A lawsuit seeking federal declaratory relief must first present an actual case or controversy within the meaning of the article. In addition to the Declaratory Judgment Act requires that there be a case of actual controversy. The phrase case of actual controversy in the Act refers to the type of cases and controversies that are justiciable under Article 3. In other words, if a case is moot under Article 3, then no relief can be given under the Declaratory Judgments Act. Simply put, this case is moot under Article 3. The Declaratory Judgment Act provides no separate basis for jurisdiction. Indeed, the court's statutory authority under the Judgment Act is predicated on the existence of an actual controversy. And there's no actual live dispute in this action. The court has no authority to grant declaratory relief. So they're saying for these reasons, you must dismiss. Interesting. Okay, let me see if I got any questions. And I've got just a couple more pages for the declaration they filed, just saying they're trying to get with this. And I am so anxious to hear back from New York Marine. They have, 2 weeks to answer, and I didn't want to keep you all waiting. And I know people have been tweeting it out. So is she still with ACLU? Could they facilitate? She's insured. I don't think ACLU has anything to do with her anymore. And I think it's the same with L'Oreal. Everybody's saying they're still ambassadors. I don't think they ever backpedal. Once you're an ambassador, they don't say, okay, we fired her. We're not, they've introduced, like L'Oreal introduced their new Women of Worth roles, and she's not there. So she's ended. So, question, why did any insurance company pay the settlement for her since her actions were declared to be intentional? Her actions were declared intentional. The judgment was recorded, and that was New York's issue. You've been found liable. And Traveler's issue and Amber Heard's like, wait, we're not done yet. This is still ongoing because we're going to appeal. And when you need to pay for my appeal. And they're like, no, we're not paying for your appeal. And Travelers ended up picking it up. Of course, Travelers wants them to pay for half. It finally got to the appeal, and to the point that, in my opinion, Travelers Insurance said, hey, we're paying for this. And after seeing all your filings, again, my speculation opinion, we don't want to throw any more good money after bad. We don't think you have a chance to win. Let's just reach some kind of agreement with Depp, and let's just drop this. Everybody withdraws their appeal, and what are we going to do? And Depp's team, however it went back and forth, they landed on the number $1 million. And through Johnny's lawyers, they said he was going to donate to several charities, which is none of our business. It's not like he went public like she did. So that's what's happened. Travelers, for whatever reason, they decided they were going to cover it all. I mean, they're trying to get New York Marine to pay half, but they're the ones who decided to go forward. And we all know that the person who was showing up to court every day and all, Pamela Johnson, has since retired. So Braderhoff lawyered up. H wants this gone, probably not wanting to go through discovery. I don't think she can afford it. New York Marine pulled an Amber Heard by suing her through her insurance company. New York Marine is the insurance company, and they sued her because they wanted a judgment that they did not owe her any kind of defense anymore when she was found liable, and they did not owe her a defense once she fired the attorney they appointed for her, which she had already hired. I have a whole list of videos if you want to start from the beginning. Let's see if I get any more questions. Oh, I'm sorry for you. Babysitting 2 kids, babysitting 1 kid is hard enough with a hurt foot. I can't imagine 2. And I've got some news for the end, so remind me. Doesn't mean that Adam Watman won't sue her. I don't think anybody's going to sue anymore. Nobody wants to live their life in courts. They're done. I'm not sure what Adam was. Oh, the book. Well, she didn't write the book. That was somebody else's book. Jen Robinson's book, but I don't think he wants it. Well, true. Epstein thought he was untouchable too, till the end. Got away with a lot for a very long time. Thanks, guys. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back. Yeah, he gave more chances than he deserves. He's such a gentleman, and he said from the beginning, this was never about money. I wanted my day in court. Part of the lawsuit is he had to claim damages. He had to cite damages. He had to cite a number, and he did. But in the end, in closing, they told the jury, look, this isn't about money. You could give him $1. He just wants you to know he did not do this, and he wants the jury to find in his favor. The jury did. They did award money. And I think what happened is Amber Heard and her attorneys and travelers held him to the flame saying, hey, you said this wasn't about money, so how can we end this? And in the end, he said $1 million, or somebody proposed $1 million. Let's see. I do think JD should sue for the proceeds and get it shut down. There's a chance he may not. He may want it to be just over. I don't think he wants to live his life in the courts. Nobody does. And I think she knows that. And I think she'll walk toes to the fire, if you will. Yeah, she's not getting. I can't imagine somebody would publish her book. I mean, she could self-publish it through Amazon, I guess. She could maybe get a British publisher, but I think they have a lot to stand on now. The fact that Virginia juries found her liable when she was the party. They said, look, she lied. In the UK, the judge said, well, she's a witness. I'm not going to compel her to bring any, any discovery or exhibits or proof. I'm not going to compel her to bring anything. I'm not going to compel her to bring full audios. If she wants to cherry pick and cut up an audio, which she did, and Dep team said, look, we want the whole audio. And he's like, no, she's a witness. I'm not going to compel her to bring anything. So the fact that he chose to believe someone who was a witness, Johnny had limited options to bring evidence against her, that's kind of moot now because Virginia says you believed a liar. We've proven she's a liar. You believed a liar. And she was not party to the case. He wrote a pamphlet while, I don't know. He wrote a book. He wrote a book apparently that I'm cited in a couple times, and he never called me for comment, and he alluded to things that are absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. Any other questions up here? I'm going back and then going down again. Yeah, if JD had proven her lies in court before the UK case against the newspapers, I believe he would have won. And I think the biggest thing was she was not a party. That judge came in there absolutely dependent and motivated and biased to say, I'm not going to believe you. I'm not going to believe you, period. And he took everything at Amber Heard's word. He discounted the LAPD and said, you know what? You didn't take enough notes. We didn't see anything. What are we supposed to write down? There was no damage. They didn't claim there was, when they were there, they just said it was a verbal argument. So how could they say she wasn't abused or things weren't broken when nothing was claimed to have been broken to them? Not at the time of their visit. Afterwards, they said, no, we didn't see any of that. Yeah, Travelers stayed on her side the whole time. I don't know what went on there. I think she was the director level. Pamela Johnson stuck by her every step of the way. And when it was finally over and done, and New York Marine sued and Travelers sued, and she was going to be brought in for deposition, Pamela Johnson, suddenly it was, oh, well, she no longer works for Travelers. So, yeah, I think publishers will be on the hook because there's no way they can say, oh, we didn't know she was lying. Yeah, cookery book. It's a cookery book. Maybe she's going to talk about her life before and after Johnny. Maybe other people should be worried. No, they're never going to get it hurt again. It is what it is. I don't know, since the very, very public live streaming and the live streaming verdict that she lied is out there worldwide, if a lot of people in the UK would be willing to put their neck on the line to stick with the UK verdict. Yeah. Sadly. Yeah. And Jen Robinson has blatant misinformation because she knew that Johnny did not stop her from testifying. There's public filings out there where he says, no, I'm not stopping her. I'm not lifting the full entire confidentiality agreement we have. But it says right in there that if you're subpoenaed, you can testify. I can't stop you. So I don't know what that was. Let's see what I got down here. I think I've missed something. A lot of her witnesses didn't show up. Let's see. I thought I saw someone. Hold on, guys. So much of the VA case disproved what she said. Absolutely. She with the new trial. Yeah, she doesn't have the money. Before she had boatloads of money because the insurance companies were paying everything. She was happy to file every motion she could possibly file, thinking that she wasn't paying for it, but the insurance company was hoping he would. But yeah, she just loved staying attached to him. If they had awarded him $1, I was hoping he would frame it. No, but they gave him quite a bit of money, and it's just sad that he couldn't get the full $15 million that they wanted to give him. I thought I saw, there it is. Thank you, Jen May. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I didn't catch it earlier. Let's just hit with this declaration. It's not so bad. I have to reshare that screen. All right, so this is the declaration of her actual attorney. Let's see if we can get any tea from this. This I did post. I'm an attorney for her. We know that. The declaratory judgment action concerns, we know that. This is a recap. The DEP lawsuit resolved confidential settlement. The judgment, the appeal was resolved. Nothing changes. Nothing ever will change the verdict. Ms. Heard's first amended and supplemental answer and first amended counterclaim alleged 2 causes of action for breach of contract and breach of implied covenant, which the judge dismissed. We know that. I'm not going to duplicate read. Motion to dismiss. Leave to amend. She has decided not to amend. Here we go. On March 31st, I participated in a conference with James Wagner. These are all of New York Marine's attorneys who are counsel for New York Marine, and Owen Monkmeyer of Paciche. So that's one of her co-counsels. Among other things, we discussed the effect of the dismissal order, whether any claims in the action remain in the event Ms. Heard does not amend her counterclaim to revive her. Sorry, guys, let me remember to do this. If Ms. Heard does not amend her counterclaim to revive her bad faith claim, and whether New York Marine would oppose the entry of a partial final judgment. Mr. Wagner represented that New York Marine believes there remains a dispute as to New York Marine's duty to indemnify Ms. Heard for the settlement in the DEP lawsuit. On April 6th, I sent Mr. Wagner and the various people a proposed joint stipulation to resolve the remaining claims and enter a final judgment in this action. The proposed joint speculation recited that Ms. Heard does not intend to amend her counterclaim, and that Ms. Heard will not pursue her claims against New York Marine, and that Ms. Heard will not pursue her claims against New York Marine for its failure to indemnify Ms. Heard for the settlement of the DEP lawsuit. The proposal included a stipulation by New York Marine to voluntarily dismiss its complaint, as there is no longer any dispute between the parties. On April 13th, I participated in another conference with these people. Among other things, we discussed the proposed joint stipulation. Counsel for New York Marine represented that New York Marine would not agree to the proposed stipulation and would not agree to Ms. Heard's request for entry of partial final judgment. I think what's interesting is nobody attaches a draft of this proposed stipulation. So we don't know what's in it. I again represented to New York Marine that Ms. Heard would not amend her counterclaim and that Ms. Heard would not seek indemnity with respect to the DEP lawsuit. On April 25, Mr. Wagner sent New York Marine's proposed joint stipulation to enter judgment dismissing Ms. Heard's first amended complaint and counterclaim. Per the draft stipulation, New York Marine would agree to voluntarily dismiss its first, second cause of action in its complaint without prejudice, but would not dismiss its third and fourth causes of action related to its duty to defend Ms. Heard in the DEP lawsuit. Thank you, Jacqueline. Not sure I got that before, but thank you so much. It's a huge help. On May 11th, I participated in another conference with these people. Among other things, we discussed whether New York Marine would stipulate to dismiss its first amended complaint, including its third and fourth causes of action, as the DEP lawsuit was resolved by settlement and the court's dismissal order resolved any remaining dispute between the parties as to New York Marine's duty to defend. Counsel for New York Marine could not confirm that New York Marine would agree to dismiss its complaint. I again represented to New York Marine that Ms. Heard would not amend her counterclaim and that Ms. Heard would not seek indemnity with respect to the DEP lawsuit. On May 16th, I sent an email to Mr. Wagner, Mr. Rasmussen, and Mr. Van Leeuwen to confirm in writing the representations made previously. Ms. Heard will not amend her counterclaim and has withdrawn her request for indemnity from New York Marine. I again asked that New York Marine agree to stipulate to dismissal of its complaint in light of these facts and the court's dismissal order. New York Marine has not done so. The indemnity means I'm not going to request that you pay back Travelers $500,000 of the $1 million. On May 18th, I participated in another conference with Mr. Wagner, Mr. Rasmussen, and Monkmeyer, who is her co. Among other things, we again discussed whether New York Marine would stipulate to dismiss its first amended complaint. I again represented to New York Marine that Ms. Heard would not amend her counterclaim and that Ms. Heard would not seek indemnity with respect to the DEP lawsuit. Well, she had no chance to amend her claim anyway. I additionally represented to New York Marine that it is Ms. Heard's position that there is no dispute between the parties as to New York Marine's defense obligations because Ms. Heard seeks reimbursement of defense costs only for her independent counsel in the DEP lawsuit, and the court held in its dismissal order that New York Marine did not have any obligation to provide independent counsel to Ms. Heard under the policy. And again, this is going to affect Travelers. This is going to affect Travelers. On May 22nd, I participated in another conference with Mr. Wagner. I represented to Mr. Wagner that Ms. Heard would be willing to consider a revised stipulation dismissing the first amended complaint. On May 30th, despite the court's dismissal order and Ms. Heard's representations, Mr. Wagner represented to me via email that New York Marine would not stipulate to dismiss its first amended claim. So this is interesting. And why is this? Why is this? Because Travelers' position is, and the judge already ruled this, New York Marine did not have to provide independent counsel. Done. However, when Karen McAvoy left, Travelers' position is, New York Marine, you still have to help pay for her defense. Your guy left, so you have to pay half of our people for the remainder of the defense. Of course, New York Marine found out that their guy left because of Travelers and potentially Amber Heard. So that's the important point here. She may not be seeking legal defense because she didn't pay any of it. Travelers did. But Travelers is hinging on this, saying, look, you still owe us 50% of what we had to pay after your guy left. You know, you didn't hire her another counsel. Your guy left. You still have to pay us 50%. And we saw that when Travelers said, hey, you know, let's look at that again, because this is why this is going to be so important in this. Travelers denies the allegations. I was reading it here. Travelers, it's not up to Travelers to interact with your insured and its independent counsel to get information from them and not rely upon Travelers to do precise job. So in other words, when Cameron McAvoy left, Travelers is like, look, we're not responsible for them leaving. That's between the counsel and Amber Heard. They're laying it out. That's between Amber Heard and the council. We just know we paid for defense and we want 50% back. Whatever wrongdoing you think happened to Cameron McAvoy, that has nothing to do with us. That has to do with your insured. So I think this is why they're like, yeah, we cannot drop this claim because this is what Travelers has now answered us with. You cannot, yeah, they basically just repeated that answer over and over. This is their prayer for relief. Award them nothing. Grant Travelers all of the relief it seeks in its complaint, which is 50% of the cost it was to defend her after Cameron McAvoy left. So do you think they're going to walk away? I don't think so. I don't think so. And what have we got left? Well, we know that hearing's in July. I don't know if you can read this very well, but I know you can read it here. Right down here. The court is set at status conference for June 15th with the status report to be filed by June 13th. Because they're joined for pretrial, we should be getting a status report by every participant in both lawsuits. So that's what we're waiting for. That's the big date. Yeah. So let's see what we got over here. I know I have questions. Vanessa, no bras. That's what the first one I jumped onto. No, let's look up here. Is the chat frozen? I don't think so. She has yet again caused chaos and walked away to leave everyone else to deal with it. Yeah, basically. I mean, New York Marine sued her. She countersued and it was dismissed. And I don't know what she thinks is going to happen. I guess, yeah, New York Marine is on the hook. And they, according to Travelers, and they're making it very clear that we're not on the hook. Amber Heard may be now saying, I'm not going to make you pay anything because we've settled, but Travelers is not agreeing to that. Travelers is still saying we want our 50%. Dr. Curry was amazing and did such a great job explaining everything. Yeah, she was good. She's really good. Any other questions, guys? I'm anxious. We're going to be getting more documents, guys. Woohoo! We're going to get updates. We're going to have sites on or around June 13th. And, of course, there'll be that hearing. This dismissal won't be done for a while. So accurate. So spot on. Johnny's lucky remote should be alive for sure. I don't know if she was present for the verdict. I imagine I don't know. We'd have to look at the when it played out and see if we can see her in the background. No, I think they're just presenting whatever the popular news are. And there's not a lot of Johnny Depp, Amber Heard stuff going on. They're trying to get away from her. So they're just presenting whatever's current in the news. And right now, Harry is in trial today and tomorrow giving testimony. So, yeah. Oh, my God. As soon as he pops up in Cannes, she pops up in Madrid. Happy-go-lucky. Suddenly, I'm getting papped all the time. And nobody papped me before. Now it's all the time. I'm in Cannes. Johnny's in Cannes. He's in UK. He's in France. And all of a sudden now the stupid letter is like, oh, we're going to broaden our campaign to France. And nobody cares. Nobody cares about her. Yeah. Been a hot minute, hasn't it? JD knows H that she would keep up her campaign to destroy him forever. I think we're as much to play a part of that. We just have to stop tweeting everything she does. Take it to the chat rooms. Create yourself a chat room and invite everybody you want to talk about it. But stop giving her attention in the feeds because it still hits the Twitter analytics. Never understand her logic. She had everything. She had everything. She could have just taken the $7 million, walked away with her career, and everybody moved on with their life, and he still would look like the bad guy because he was the older, Hollywood man who left Vanessa and failed this marriage and could have stayed with Vanessa. I mean, he would have still looked like the bad guy if that's what she wanted. Because certainly that's how her PR would have spun it. I don't know that that's happening. Other than her hiring this lawyer to get Cameron McAvoy, you make them go away. Well, we talked that. As far as we know, it's still active and just sitting in somebody's inbox. My guess right now, if Australia wants to go through with this, they have to serve her, they have to question her, whatever. And I don't think they can get her in Spain, and they can't get the FBI to get her. That's my guess. I wished when Johnny agreed to wipe the slate clean when it comes to money she owed him, when they knew he said it wasn't about money, that he would have said he was giving it to charities. He is giving it. It is being dispersed to multiple charities, but that's his private business. It's not like Amber Heard when she made it public, when she got up there and made all these statements. I am donating the $7 million because I don't want to touch it because it comes tainted by abuse. I'm going to give it to people who I think agencies that I can get help. I'm going to give it to the Children's Hospital. I mean, she was the one who made a public statement to gain support from the public, to say, look, I must be telling the truth or I wouldn't be giving this money away. That's not what this is about. Johnny accepted the $1 million settlement and said, through his lawyer, said he would be dispersing it to multiple charities. That's none of our business. That's just nothing of our business. I'm waiting for Spain to start hitting her with the first tax bill. And we all heard about that with Shakir. They follow up on their tax bills. I think WD needs Aquaman 2 to be a success, so expect WB to push nonsense in order to rebuild her character. I don't know that they want to keep Mira. I mean, there's possibility they're actually killing her off in this movie. They want this bromance. They're going to have an Aqua boy. I guess she's having a baby. I don't know how the public's going to sit with just an all-male cast. And the rumors of an Aquaman 3 shocked me because I didn't think anybody was interested in the trilogy. Unless Aquaman's going to come in to other DC movies and not have an Aquaman 3. It's difficult to ignore MSM when they constantly lie and join his name and hers. Yeah. They're doing it for clickbait. They make so much money off of ads. Anything with Johnny in the headline, they make a ton of money off the ads. Dead in the water. Well, they can put the Interpol in the middle and you're oh, I don't know. I don't know who has jurisdictions to serve these kind of things. They can get her if she crosses the border, that's for sure. They can get her if maybe if she goes into some willing country. I know. They're divorced. Hammer came down. She's done. Lower the curtain. Finally, let him get on with his life. Hey, so good to hear you. Good to hear from you. I wish H would leave Jay alone. I know we would all love to stop talking about, but she just keeps paps and the headlines. And we click on the headlines and they earn ad revenue. So I think we're the biggest clickers. She doesn't have that much support, guys. She really doesn't. Use the archive.ph. You can see these articles without giving them clicks. It's my understanding. Archive.ph. I can imagine she'll be on the red carpet. I can't believe she'll be anywhere near Aquaman 2. Johnny has donated not just big bucks, but his time. And I think his time is every bit as valuable. Bucks. So she figured $7 million over 10 years. No, she didn't. She figured she was supposed to donate every time Johnny paid his portion of the settlement, which was scheduled out. That's what was scheduled, not her donating. She was supposed to not, I don't want to touch this money. I want nothing to do with it. She was supposed to turn, that was the intention she gave to the public. She announced on Dutch TV that she had already donated it, which now she's now redefined what donated means, that it means pledged. And I'm telling you right now, the IRS just does not use donated and pledged interpersonally. It don't happen. Yep. Well, they are handling it through the court. That's what we're talking about. I agree, Laura. I will not see or watch any YouTube video that brings up Amber. She needs to be dead. And I'm following through on this lawsuit. I am going to follow through to the end, and she is attached to it. I'm not doing any the tabloid stuff. Now, if there's another lawsuit that pops up somewhere, probably be bringing that. They will only extradite if it's criminal offense and considered a criminal offense. I think that's even most countries will only extradite for criminals. But oh my God, I got into it with the scammers. And I was stupid. I was like, why did I let myself do that? Why did I do that? But it just hit me terrible. I didn't answer you about the book yet. Oh, I didn't see that question fly by. If you're talking about Amber's book, I don't understand how anyone can publish it. And I wouldn't assume it's about Johnny. It may be her Me Too book of everything that happened to her pre and post Johnny. She could try and spin this tale like I had been through so much Me Too abuse through my entire life when I first started that when I got with Johnny, I just assumed that's what I was getting from him when he would comment about my rolls or my dress. I mean, she'll spin it somehow that I thought I was, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, don't click on it. Hey, how you doing? Love from the UK. I'll tell you how I'm doing. I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying my grandchildren. I have a 3-year-old I babysit twice a week and a 1-year-old. And my news, in case you didn't see it, many people did, I'm getting a puppy. So sometime after the 4th of July, I'll be getting a puppy. And I am so excited. I had a Cavalier King Charles many years ago that I lost to some health issues when he was 12 to 13 years old. And it broke my heart. And it took me a long time. And I realized the dog really serves an emotional need for me. Just like any dog does for everyone. And I really missed him. And I just decided with my husband's mother passed away, my daughter-in-law's father passed away, my mother's 89, lives with me. And I realized that, it happens, life happens. And I'm thinking, yeah, I want to get another dog in my life. And I'm really excited. So sometime after July 4th, we're supposed to get him. Little Cavalier, tricolor, and his name's Cody. We've named him Cody. Everybody voted. I wanted Milo. Nobody liked Milo, so he is Cody, and we're very, very excited. Hey, Inez, thank you. I think the biggest punishment for her would be if nobody's interested in her anymore. In the end, she will get exactly what she wants, attention. 100%, because she was fine in Madrid, just raising her kid out of the spotlight, and all of a sudden, Johnny goes to Cannes, and, well, come take pictures of me. Come see where I see. I think she got more than she went to the playground, out in public, at the market. She got photos taken, and I bet she didn't expect anyone to follow her home. I bet she didn't expect that, and she got more than she expected, and now they know where she lives. Oh my God, I was into the real stupidity yesterday. It's not scrolling for me. Here we go. Yeah, it could be about her exes. It could be how she got jobs. Supposedly she slept with the director. Yeah. It's good. Kids and grandkids keep you young. They keep you moving. Kept me off the computer for a while. It was good because I was living and breathing this case too much, this entire case for years, not just this insurance case. Oh, well, the first thing caught my eye. It's sunny in the UK somewhere. That's awesome. Haven't seen me for a while. I'm so glad to be here. We had peaked at about 800 people. I'm so thrilled. We've been on a little over an hour. Let me check my tabs. I think I got everything. Oh, I just wanted to go over real quick what happened with Travelers that I did not specifically cover. First of all, I had to buy the documents. But Travelers, we don't know why their lawyers left. The lawyers were with them, the whole team of them right from the beginning. They left. We don't know why. So they had to find new lawyers. So they found a new lawyer who apparently represented, or their franchise or their broker, whichever, represented New York Marine in something. And New York Marine says, that's breaking the rules. So you can't do that, because maybe they could have had access to computers, files, work product. And they said, no, disqualify this attorney. You can't play both sides of the fence. And the judge agreed and said, yeah, you have to find a new attorney. So they found a new attorney. I don't know who it is yet. I don't think it's on here. Notice of appearance of counsel. I have to pay for all these documents. Seriously, I have to pay for all these documents. Why do I want to do that? I'll show you. I'm not lying. When there's no blue guy here for me to click on, like the reason that they were opposed, why they had to replace their counsel, all these things I have to buy. And why do I care who their attorney is? Why do you care who the attorney is? Why make a very dry video about that? Although from a legal standpoint, I can understand why DUI guy did. That makes perfect sense to me. I think we got everything, guys. I think we got everything. And I'm about to get a thunderstorm. Whoops. Thank you, Vanessa. I really appreciate it. I am not... I cannot believe he quoted me in his book. But if you go to Amazon USA or Amazon UK, he's got like under 20 reviews. So I don't think he's doing very well. I don't care. So happy to see you again. And I didn't see any haters pop in, or if you did, you chased them off, but I didn't see anything. Yeah, I'm so glad to be back. And we got more info coming. Dogs are everything. I am so excited. I cannot wait. Yeah, I cannot wait. So let me... We got thunder coming. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's coming. Share this tab instead. And why is it not sharing? It says, here we go. There he is. There's going to be my puppy. That's Cody. I made a little Twitter page for him and an IG page. Cody the Cavalier 2023. And we will see. That's my baby. That's my baby. Soon. Coming soon. All right, so we've been on here over an hour. Any questions? I think I will end this. Yeah, and this dog is right up my alley as far as energy-wise. You know, he's playful. He'll want to go out and walk a little bit, but he's not. He's a lap dog, and I think he's great with children. These dogs are wonderful with children. So, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I will let. Any kind of advertisement on here is a big help. You know, people just letting the ads play is a huge help. But, yeah, I'm not going to waste the money on things that I don't think you guys would be interested in, is the bottom line. Thank you, Size, so much, Karen. That is so very appreciated. I really do. So, yeah, DUI guy did cover that part, and it's good. So, anything else? Otherwise, I think I need to let you all go. Yeah. Well, I guess Australia is having trouble getting to her, and that would be my only thought. I don't know what else. They're going to come after her for taxes. I think it's 186 days in her income, and she gets income because she gets stuff from the movies she's done. I forget what it's called. All right, I'm going to head off, guys. Love you all. I will be back. We have more documents coming. So I think I'm going to end it pretty much right now. Bye, guys.